This is James Taylor, and you're listening to The Creative Life. The Creative Life podcast is a show created for you, the creative. If you're looking for inspiration, motivation, and advice while at home, at work, or on your daily commute, then this show is for you. Each episode brings you a successful creative, whether that's a musician, writer, artist, designer, performer, educator, or creative entrepreneur. They share their journey, their successes, their failures, their creative process, their insights, and much, much more. In this episode, I speak with Dr. K.H. Kim, and we discuss the decline of creativity in America, Confucianism and creativity, and the difference between unique and new ideas. Enjoy this episode. Hey, it's James Taylor, and welcome to the show. Today, I have Dr. K.H. Kim with me. Dr. K.H. Kim is a professor of creativity and innovation at the College of William and Mary. In 2010, she published a seminal study called The Creativity Crisis, a work which looked at the reasons for declining creativity levels in America. Then, in 2016, she published The Creativity Challenge, a book which provided the solutions to this crisis. She's been awarded the Berlyne Award from the American Psychology Association, the Torrance Award from the American Creativity Association, and both the Early Scholar Award and the Hollingworth Award from the National Association for Gifted Children. She's a fascinating woman, and I'm really happy to have her with us today. So, first of all, welcome, Dr. Kim.
Thank you for having me.
So, share with our listeners, what are you currently working on? What's happening in your world just now?
Okay, so in 2010, I analyzed the test scores from the Torrance test of creative thinking from American people's creativity test. From early 1960 up to 2008. So those data I analyzed, and then so there was called a creative crisis. But right now, I just finished another follow-up study using the 2017 data set. So I feel a little bit concerned or more upset about the results because the creativity crisis is continued, and also actually it's even worse. I mean, the greater decrease among people, especially young children.
And
yes,
in the creativity crisis, I remember that there was a big piece in Newsweek about it, which talked about the decline in creativity. So what you're saying is the new study looking at the latest data, it doesn't look good, really. It's not a good picture.
No.
Is it? Do you think from your study? Obviously, it's not been published yet, so it's still a work in progress. But do you see some of the same causes, the same reasons as were there when you first published the book in 2010, or are they different reasons now? Now we have things like social media, for example, and other things that are taking up a lot of kids' time.
I see that the cause of the creative crisis is clearer than before. The main cause I concluded the main cause is the test-centric climate. I call it test-centric climate in America. But actually, in worldwide, I guess many countries are really focused on testing. But in America, they were not focused on testing before. But since the 1990s, they have been really focused on this test. So, what is it? We call it No Child Left Behind, like that. So, really, the state mandated tests, and also college entrance and graduate school entrance examination. They focus on ACT, SAT, GRE, MCAT, LSAT, like that. So it's more and more nationally. I guess it's worldwide, but I'm just because I have to talk about based on my data. Nationally, more focused on this test scores than creativity or creativity development.
I know a lot of the schools, they focused on the you mentioned, like those kind of charts, the PISA charts, and countries like Singapore are often held up as these are the best kind of places for education of children as well. And that kind of model has obviously been brought into America and testing also in the UK, where I'm speaking from today as well. When you speak to your kind of fellow academics in other parts of the world, is there room for hope globally? Are there other countries that you're seeing who have not gone towards that heavy testing, and maybe there's signs there that the creativity levels are actually increasing rather than decreasing?
Oh, I haven't specifically studied, but I hear some article. I see some articles from like Northern European countries, like how they make a classroom environment more open and flexible, and they are less focused on testing like that. But in Asian countries, since like around 2000, they decided to foster creativity among children using the traditional traditional American educational model that made America creative and great before. So it's so strange because in Asian countries are trying to copy traditional American education before, but now American education is trying to copy Asian education that failed before, because Asian education is well known for exam hell or examination hell. So they are really like focused on testing, and they are good at getting high scores on tests. So, for example, if you look at all those international assessment data, like all those students from Asian countries have top scores, top ranks. So, but they are good at taking tests and getting high scores, but they actually really kill creativity while memorizing everything. Like so it kills really students' curiosity. When you memorize everything, what you don't have any room for curiosity. So it's so that's why I also analyze the Nobel Prize winners like that. So despite the high test scores from Asian students, but well, I'm Asian too, but if you look at Nobel Prize winners, because the Nobel Prize is like you have to be really creative to get Nobel Prize, because you have to contribute to the world by making something unique and useful. So definition of creativity is making something unique and useful. So but if you look at the Nobel Prize winners, like Asian population is like 1/4 of the world population, but Nobel Prize winners are just 4% out of like all those Nobel Prize winners. Yeah. So a lot of research shows that Asian people are not creative, right?
But I was reading a book recently. It was called The Geography of Genius, and it was looking at different countries and different times in history when they're most creative. And one of the ones that they talked about was Hangzhou in the Song during the Song dynasty. And one of the reasons that it said that it declined from being as creative as it had levels of creativity that were very good, and it was really creating new and novel things. But one of the reasons that it said it went away was in terms of the Confucian way of the culture and the way of learning and the rote.
Yes.
Now you've been brought up. I think you were brought up in Korea as well. And I know, just speaking to you just now, you have a naturally curious mind. So how did that naturally curious mind fit in maybe places which are more used to that kind of rote type of learning?
Wow, that's so funny, because that's my dissertation topic. So it means my dissertation was on how Confucian culture, it means Confucianism, affect Asian people's creativity. That was my So I know about Confucianism, like Asian culture, really well. Actually, Asian culture is really the opposite of creative climate. So as they are focused on conformity, and so conformity is like you have to be the same as other people. It means that you are not allowed to be unique. So that, and also another thing is Asian culture is focused on hierarchical relationship. It means unequal hierarchical relationship they are focused on. So so all those so it's I lived in that environment, that climate that didn't allow me to be curious or to be unique. So that's why, like all my life, I just felt that when I came to America when I was 33. Well, I felt like a really misfit or like a troublemaker because I had a lot of questions. So like whenever like for example, when I was like 3 years old, so okay, when like I accidentally pinched my brother, then I was punished. However, there was neighbor like, who beat up was his wife, but he was okay. So I asked question why, but it was I found later that it was just a part of the culture that like husband owns the wife, or husband is has a right to like a train or discipline his wife like that. So anyway, so those like whenever I saw those like incidents, that like I was not just curious, I was somehow like defiant or rebellious. So I didn't like that even when I was a leader. But and also like when I became a teacher, I like the students who ask a lot of questions, or especially unusual question or unexpected questions. Or sometimes like some students are like troublemakers, but I was interested in them more. I connected with them better because they were not really like conforming students; they were non-conformist. Right? So, and then also later after I got married, I was continuously like I thought I felt like I was a failure or a hopeless troublemaker because like all other women who were married, without any question, they just accepted their role as a like daughter-in-law or a wife like that. But like for example, let's say I don't know, but in Korea, like having a son is really important. But I got a daughter first, okay? And then so I got pregnant again. It was a girl. So and then my mother-in-law forced me to get abortion. So it's not really good to talk about here. But so something like that. So other women, like other daughter-in-laws, did not question or but they followed, they accepted what they were supposed to do because like having a son and then is really continuing the bloodline or the family ancestry is really important. But I didn't accept that. So whatever, like my thinking or my ideas is always conflicted with Asian culture, Confucianism. So I had really hard time to live there. So finally, I escaped or ran away. So
and then when you came to America, though, this curiosity there's always been there with you, wanting to know why, asking maybe more difficult questions. It was. You did research in 2005, which looked at the relationship between creativity and intelligence. So up until that point, people had always talked about this idea of the threshold theory, that in order to be creative, you needed to have a certain IQ level, and I believe that IQ level was quite high. So can you tell me then, like, so I'm imagining when you published that research, because it kind of went a little bit against maybe what people thought should be, should be the way. So you're obviously not unwilling to say, speak truth to power, to say, actually, what you've been thinking is not right, and here's the data to support this as well. So what was the response to the findings of that research, and what did you find out in that research as well? What were the big findings?
Oh yeah. But the reason I did that meta-analysis was quite rebellious also, because at that time when I was a doctoral student, a lot of scholars, existing scholars, current scholars, accepted the theory, which is like you just said, threshold theory. So IQ 120 is the threshold. It means in order to be really, really creative, you need IQ 120. It means once above IQ 120, there's no relationship. So it means IQ 160 is not necessarily more creative than IQ 120. But so it means but at least you have to have IQ 120. So I didn't accept it. So I questioned it. Well, the reason is, when that started with my question when I was in Korea. So right after I got my teaching degree, I became an English teacher in Korea. And then, so the first year when I was a teacher, there was a fortune teller with a long, a really old man with a long, gray beard. So he told me that I would have two great children in the future who can change the world for the better. So, and I was shocked because at that point, I didn't even date anyone. I didn't plan to get married anyone. So, however, all of a sudden, then I have to be a good parent. So I started reading all kinds of parenting books. And then, at first, parenting books in Korean, later parenting books in English. Hundreds of books I read, and then I got confused because each book says different things. So, and then I decided to do research on my own. And then that's how I started graduate school in Korea. And then I thought, so in order to change the world for the better, you have to be really, really creative. No. At that time, I didn't know about creativity. You have to be really smart. So that's why I was so focused on intelligence. So I did a lot of research regarding on intelligence. And then, so while I was doing studying intelligence, I read at the same time I read about Nobel Prize winners a lot. And then I was really surprised when I found that many Nobel Prize winners don't have a really high IQs. So IQ 120 is really high, but not many Nobel Prize winners that have high IQs. So that's how then when I learned about threshold theory later, so I decided to question. So, and then that's how I conducted a meta-analysis using all those existing studies that were related to the relationship between creativity and intelligence. And then that's how I found, so I found the threshold theory is not supported, which means that you don't have to have an IQ 120 to be really creative. And another thing, in all levels of IQs and creativity, there were weak relationship. So IQ is really different from creativity. That's what I concluded. So at the same time, think about this. Okay, so do you know about Flynn effect? Worldwide, IQ is increasing every decade. That's a Flynn effect. But so then, if IQ and creativity are the same things, then creativity should increase also. However, while IQ is increasing, creativity is decreasing. That's what I found, right? So which means that it confirms that IQ and creativity are different.
They're not related. They may be related. They have a relationship, but they're not. They're not related in maybe the way that people make them up to be. That it has some. In fact, I think it was Edward de Bono. He used to talk about this idea of the intelligence trap, where people that have very high levels of IQ, they can sometimes actually be not that creative because their brain is working so fast and they immediately jump to conclusions about things rather than actually stepping back and say, having that kind of curiosity that we've just been speaking about. Then, like, well, why isn't that like that? Why does that not work? Where maybe more IQ intelligence people would just go straight to an answer.
Yeah. Right. So if you know a lot of things already, then like you already know about it, you just accept it, then like you don't have to be really curious. But I don't say that IQ is not needed at all, because the foundation of creative thinking is expertise. So it means a thorough understanding and the mastery of a specific topic is necessary. So in order to develop your expertise, you need some level of memorization, and then knowledge and comprehension and applications also. So in order to do that, you need intelligence. So what I mean is, you don't have to have a high IQ as long as you can master one specific topic or something that you are really interested in, you like. Then you focus on it, you learn a lot about it, you know better than others about that topic, then you can become creative. So as long as you can have a specific expertise, then you don't have to have a high IQ. That's what I mean.
It's like the phrase that philosophers use. They say it's necessary but not sufficient. So you need intelligence, but it's not sufficient. And when you're saying that, this idea of gaining expertise, learning your craft, whatever your craft may be.
Yeah.
I was listening the other day to Scott Adams, the cartoonist who came up with the Dilbert cartoons in America that are popular in America. And he said, often what people don't understand, he felt people don't understand about creativity is sometimes you get expertise. Where the greatest breakthroughs happen is where people build expertise in what sometimes may feel like two unrelated fields. And it's then when they go and create something that pulls on one field into a field that's not necessarily accepted. So people like Richard Feynman, the physicist, for example, he pulled on things from other fields that he was becoming expert in into another field that he was also expert in. He said, so sometimes where the interesting things happen, I wonder this with your study with Nobel Prize winners, is where they look at other fields, other domains, and they pull ideas into those, but they need to develop a certain level of expertise in both domains.
Okay. So while you are developing expertise on one specific topic, at the same time, you have to have a wide, variety of experiences also, so that you can make connections. So, for example, the difference between Nobel Prize scientists and other scientists is that this Nobel Prize science have this boundary crossing, which means that they are scientists, but they were really interested in arts, they have background of art before. So, which means that they connected their scientific expertise with art. So it means creativity is making creativity is making something unique and useful. The reason I say unique instead of new is that everything. So nothing is really new. So all innovation is actually was it from connecting dots among. So it means it starts with the existing knowledge and skills. So it means you connect in a new way two different fields. So like that's how I call it cross, boundary crossing. But
that's
so while
interesting.
you are developing expertise, yes,
that's an interesting distinction you made there between unique and new. That's that distinction there, because we think about like the iPhone, for example, and that's obviously the transistor was invented in New Jersey. The World Wide Web was invented in Switzerland. And it was lots of different parts were invented in different places, but it brought them together. So nothing was really new so much as it was brought together in an interesting combination.
Yes, nothing is new. And then so a lot of people think that like iPhone is something some new invention out of nothing. However, actually, it's based on existing knowledge and skills. And then when like Samsung copied iPhone, and then so people thought like that's copying, and like iPhone is original, and then Samsung is copying. Actually, it's both are copying, but it's the degree or the level of copying is another matter. But so I don't think anything is really new under the sun.
But really, you could argue that all the folks of Silicon Valley, all the technologists of Silicon Valley, they were just imitating what the ancient Greeks used to do. They I think Plato said, what the ancient Greeks borrow from foreigners, they perfect. So what the Silicon folks in Silicon Valley were doing is they were taking ideas from lots of other places, and they, as you say, they were combining them into a unique way, as opposed to a new way. That distinction between the two phrases. So in your kind of journey in your work as an academic, as a researcher, someone that's passionate about creativity, can you tell us about any key insights, or we talk about light bulb moments, key insights in your own life where you said, oh, this is maybe the direction I want to go with my research or my work, or you made some kind of new distinction, you discovered something new about yourself and the work you were doing? So
like it's breaking up, but
I remember when you were talking about this, this idea of your questioning, for example, and you mentioned to me before the Torrance test, and obviously you've in the world of creativity, the Torrance test is seen as a main landmark kind of thing as well. But my understanding, that was something else that you kind of went and you kind of questioned and you looked at it again.
So it means like, are you talking about like so could you repeat your question?
Yeah, so I was just when in your life and the work that you've been doing, has there been specific moments where you've made some kind of, to you, big light bulb or big aha or insight moment when you've going to go, oh, okay, this is the direction I want to go with my work, or you just kind of found something unique in the work that you were doing?
Just so you mean like when I really like decided, okay, so I will do this creativity research or like that, or
yeah, exactly. So because obviously when you came from Korea, you went into this work of create. There was a lot of preconceptions about what was the truth in this in the world of creativity.
Yeah. When I so it means when I was a teacher in Korea, so people talked about creativity, but nobody knew what creativity was. But or teachers or people were focused on strategies, tricks to make you more creative, but nobody knew that like creativity is actually related to the climate. So which means that, as I said earlier, Asian people are not as creative as other like people. Then why is that? It's the culture. Then it's the cultural climate is important. So it means, so people talk all this like, okay, how can I be more creative, Dr. Kim? Just give me one trick, one strategy. But actually, it doesn't work like that. It's a like a creativity. Really starts with inside this the creative climate. We have to cultivate creative climate first. And then, so after that, like you can have a creative, I call it attitude instead of personality. You can develop this creative attitude so that you see things from different perspective. And then after that, you can have this creative thinking skills. So when did I found that? So as soon as I started my PhD program in at the Torrance Center at the University of Georgia under Dr. Torrance. So that's how I found, because like I really feel like I was born there again, because like before I always thought about like what other people think about me. If I say something like this, like other people judge me like I'm strange or I'm crazy. Like so I thought about like other people too much, and then when I got there, so like I shouldn't think about what other people think. And also, like when I was in Korea, I tried to be try to be the same as other people. So I didn't like the fact that I was a misfit or a troublemaker, and I wanted to fit in. So I wanted to be like the same as other people or other women in Korea. But when I came to Torrance Center, no, I realized that my difference or different idea, different thinking, different thought, or my uniqueness is my best strength. I have to use it. So, and so since then, I don't try to fit in. I use my like different ideas, different thinking, or my uniqueness like as my strength, really. So that's how
it's a bit like that expression. It's a bit like the expression. If you have a fish that's sick, you change the water, not the fish. You try and treat the fish. You treat the water. You deal with the environment or the culture first before you actually deal with the fish. And it sounds like what happened to you moving from Korea to the States to work at the Torrance Center is that you moved to an environment which is more conducive to your way of thinking and working.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, so when I was in Korea, it was like fish out of water.
Yes, exactly.
And at Torrance Center, like I was like in water, fish in water.
Yeah.
So where I could thrive. So yes, and then so that's how I used my non-conforming idea for my research. So for example, like also who would criticize or who would be against their own culture? Me. So I studied how like Asian culture really kills people's children's creativity, right? And then after so it's whether creativity is the same or different. That so when other scholars accept that there is a relationship in creativity and intelligence, and you have to have IQ 120 at least. So I questioned that. So it means I didn't conform.
Yeah.
The existing ideas, right? So it's I think it's based on all my non-conforming ideas or unique ideas, I became successful.
But I think it's interesting, that non-conformity is very useful in creativity. Picasso said, every child is born an artist, but the challenge is how to remain an artist once they grow up. And so every child is non-conformist when they're very young, and then they go to school and they're taught to certain things to conform to the base of society and things. And then you hope as adults they then see those conventions as useful signposts, but they can go out and actually break some rules and go and challenge things and become a little bit nonconformist again as well. So just as we start to finish up here, can you just tell our listeners, do you have any online resources or tools or apps like Evernote or Gmail, things that you find you like to use and you find is really helpful in your work?
I use William Mary Library, online library all the time. But besides that, I just started using Twitter. Mm-hmm. But so I get like a lot of inspirational quotes, and I know a lot of other people who are interested in creativity and innovation. So it means what other people are doing or thinking. So I like that a lot.
Fantastic. And if you could recommend just one book and one album, one record to our listeners, what would they be?
Do you know, like, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but Richard Bach, B-A-C-H,
yeah.
Jonathan Livingston Seeger.
Oh, yeah, that's a great book.
Yeah, so I think it's basically this book is about creativity. What do you think?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's a. I just got given it recently. It's a fascinating book. So I'm going to put this on for anyone that hasn't read this book. If they go to jamestaylor.me forward and then just look for Dr. Kim's link. I'll put a link here to Richard Bach's book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
This is about even his mother is. Why is it so hard to be like the rest of the flock? John, like even mother was saying that to be the same as others, right? So, but eating was not his main purpose. He was more focused on the flying, right?
Yeah. And then what would the record be?
He had a big vision.
What would the record or the album be for you that you would love to suggest to people?
Do you know do you know Supertramp?
Yep.
Logical Song.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you know
Great
Logical Song?
Great, and we'll put this down on the show notes. Logical. I love a bit of Supertramp.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. That's what you just said earlier. Like, okay, we are born creative. We are nonconformist, and then like you go to school, and then you grow up, and then all those society tells you to conform and to be the same, logical, like that. So it's I think it's a great song for creativity development.
Fantastic.
Really.
And a final question for you. Let's imagine if you woke up tomorrow morning and had to start from scratch. So you have all the knowledge that you've acquired now about creativity, but you have no contacts. No one knows who you are. And you don't know anyone. How would you restart your career? How would you start again?
Instead of focusing on establishing my career, I think that I would rather meet every single policymaker in American education. So I wanted to let them. I would convince them how this testing climate kills children's creativity. I have been researching it, but that's what I want to do. If I have all this knowledge, and then I have to live again. So until I die, I will do my best to get rid of this test-centric climate. That's my lifetime goal.
I think as well. I think it'd be wonderful to hear you and Sir Ken Robinson talking together, because Sir Ken comes at it from the perspective of being an educator and being very passionate about creativity and changing how schools teach our young. But you come at it from the perspective of you have the data to support your your ideas as well. You have the research there.
But he was saying in general, the educational, school settings. But what I found is before 1990s in America, the educational environment actually creative. They were, so that's why they produced generations of innovators in all fields. So that's how America became really great. Yes. But since the 1990s, somehow they really try to focus on their, try to fix their weaknesses more than also instead of maximizing their strengths. So their strength is creativity. So instead of focusing on maximizing their strengths, they are trying to really get more test scores. So to fix their weaknesses. So it's a more recent trend that I am talking about or concerned about. But Ken Robinson was talking about in general, right?
Yeah.
More and worldwide in general educational system. But I think it's different from what I think.
Well, KH Kim, it's been wonderful having you on the show today. Thank you so much for coming on. What is the best way for people to connect with you, to learn more about your research and your writing? Where should they go online?
On my website, I guess, kim.net. Well, I guess you can Google just KH Kim Creativity, or follow me on Twitter, or just Kim Creativity. I guess just Kim Creativity is enough to Google.
Fantastic.
Instead
And
of KH
we'll
Kim.
put all these on the show notes. We'll put all these links here. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure speaking to you today and learning about all your fascinating research. I can't wait to read when your study eventually comes out with the latest data. I think that will be fascinating. I think that will make a lot of waves, I think. So great having you on the show.
I hope so.
Wishing you all the best.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, James Taylor here again. And if you're interested in living a more creative life, then I'd love to invite you to join me as I share some of the most successful strategies and techniques that high-performing creatives use. I put them all together in a free downloadable ebook that you can get by going to jamestaylor.me. That's jamestaylor.me to get your free downloadable ebook on creativity.